Our Saturday people, it's more of like, okay, the week's over. We're just hanging out. We're hanging with Ron, Dusty, and Scott, and we're just shooting the crap. You know what I mean? That's the Saturday show.
Right. Okay.
So we're doing the Saturday show. No.
So then that just means that I'm expected to bring my A game when we record the very next episode.
Exactly.
I hate to tell you, but this is my A game.
This is the best.
This place, we went to the Boathouse, which is like,
the Boathouse.
You're dropping $200 there to have like a steak, right? And we went out and had like fillets, and I had the fish and chips as an appetizer, and so it was like real good, like big mashed potato steak. I had the 12-ounce strip loin. She had the 6-ounce fillet, and we ate our faces off. And then I came home and ate like a whole bag of Hershey's Kisses, and then I wake up this morning and I'm like, I lost weight this week.
Nice. That's a good place to be. The magic window.
You know it's bad though. When I log on, I only see your face, and I'm like, Ron's getting leaner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I did eat. I tried to eat up a little before you guys came, and I gained like a whopping 4 pounds.
Yeah. You wanted to be fuller for the
fuller,
video.
yeah, just fuller. I had like some cheat meals and tried to. I got to be at least 245, or Dusty's not going to know who I am.
he literally he made sure to take his TRT every 7 days for 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah. I might have took 2 at once, like one time.
I saw that one. I saw that during back day. You got stronger there.
I had 2 TRTs this week.
That's what they call it now.
Yeah. He still has that one old bottle of insulin floating around the fridge, so you never know.
Yeah, there's
expired bottle of insulin.
Like 5 IUs left in it. I'm just saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah,
it's a
never
perfect
know.
moment.
Never know.
It's funny, actually, like within the last year, I actually threw a bottle of insulin away, and it was the expiration date on it. The expiration date on it was 2016.
Yeah.
And it had been in my fridge that long because it was in like the little cheese drawer,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, they're doing okay in there. They're not dirty or anything. They don't need to be thrown out. I'll clean the fridge and just leave that drawer alone. And then I was like, I'm never going to use this. I should probably 2016.
Yeah, definitely get rid of that.
Scott was like, you should get still get rid of it at my house. I'll see if it's still
keep all your 2016 insulin. I'll go get some
I wonder
fresh
how
stuff.
many. I wonder how many 10-year-old IUs it takes to equal 1 IU that's not expired.
Yeah, you have to take the bottle.
Yeah.
Not for recommended medical use.
Right.
Okay. So remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
So I thought, and the Mutant thing. Mutant loves us. Mutant supports us. Big Ron 20 or
Dusty 20.
Dusty 20. Get on the website, IamMutant.com. Order your stuff. I also have to thank you people. What do you mean, you people? Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I also have to thank,
here we go. We just lost more listeners.
Yeah. I got to make sure my logo's straight here. I have a hard time. I think my head's crooked. Yeah, see, so it's like never straight. Yeah.
That's all right. It looks intentionally offset,
That's what cool kids do. I wouldn't know, but I've seen it.
I can't go by the video because it's the flip, There we go. Yeah. It looks okay. I'm not touching it anymore. I'm done. I'll slide it back a little bit.
I'm done. Wait, one more
now.
Okay, so did you guys watch Super Bowl?
I didn't even know it was a Super Bowl until we were out. I'm honest. I didn't know it was a Super Bowl. We were out yesterday, and Victoria was like, I'm surprised there's so many people out. I figured all the Americans were literally all at home watching the Super Bowl right now. We were out hiking.
They weren't hiking, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Dusty?
Oh, yeah, I watch. But I'm painfully bored by professional football in comparison to college. So,
it's a good
point.
I
watched, but I was watching like the girls enjoy dinner with us when we go out like this.
Right. You're like working on your phone, kind of watching. Yeah.
I would catch the replay of the big play after it happened.
You'd hear the noise.
Oh, wow. And I would just look up and watch the replay. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. So it's actually funny. I realized, remember when you were up, Dusty, I told you I was the busiest I'd ever been?
Yes.
Remember when I told you that? We were sitting in the office and I was like, I'm the busiest I've ever been. I didn't know it was a Super Bowl yesterday. And I'm a football fan.
Huh.
I didn't watch any football this year. I remember I turned the highlights on a few times on YouTube. I like looked at the plays of the week, and I was like, oh, I have no idea who any of these players are or who's on any of these teams. I was just so checked out this year. And then yesterday, I'm talking to one of my business partners at the gym, and he's like, hey, do you want to come over and watch Super Bowl? And I'm like, sure, when? And he's like, today.
That's beautiful.
And I'm like, oh, I can't believe didn't even cross my mind. That's how little I pay attention to like society. And so you guys know what like DAZN is, DAZN or whatever, that app. They have like an NFL, NFL package on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I signed on because I have an account, but I canceled it. So I just signed on for like, you sign on and then you cancel right away and you get 30 days. So I just signed on real quick, then canceled it, and then just streamed it to my TV and put the game on. And I might have fallen asleep for an entire hour at some point. But, and then we went for dinner and they had the game on like in the restaurant up. So I kind of looked up every once in a while and saw like, oh, it's like, pretty close. But,
did you go to Earl's?
No, went to the Boathouse.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday. Emily's birthday was yesterday. So
you didn't even you are not really a great friend. I saw no pictures of these steaks.
No, but I put up a happy birthday reel for her. You know what I mean?
I saw that, and I liked it. I even commented. I always comment on the friends' birthdays. Always.
I just got Scott's text. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm at 8 already. I'm sorry.
I believe it's 3, but I didn't want to say that.
No, I was counting. I was like, okay, there's 5 minutes of editing. There's 10. There's 15. Okay, we're up to 30 minutes of extra editing.
You have to admit, Scott, you were impressed by my lack of F-bombs since it's been tossed. I'm solid.
You're pretty good. You're pretty good. You just flipped a switch, Dusty, is what you did. You just flipped a switch. I don't know.
You're correct.
It's like I didn't even know you swore at this point.
Yeah,
I, however, have struggled.
Well, your age, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Right. I'm from an era where you just say that all the time.
Yeah. We used to smoke in the grocery store too.
Yeah, we're smoking on airplanes back in my day.
That's a funny thing you just said. I actually had a conversation about that. How there used to be smoking sections. I was telling the girls that. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, they're in the restaurant where you can smoke. And they're like, but you're in the same restaurant. I'm like, that don't matter.
You'd be like,
you're in a section. Or smoking hotel rooms, remember? It's a non-smoking room.
You'd be like at a store and you'd be like, hey, babe, what do you think about this shirt?
That's real.
Be walking through the mall, just smoke hanging out of your mouth. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah,
nothing.
Remember, like this old, or go back like one like generation further, and the doctors were smoking in the hospital.
Right.
While they're talking.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Yep, it's definitely cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to operate like a mechanic.
Yeah.
Like an old mechanic. We're gonna have to cut that open. It doesn't look too good.
You're not going to be smoking while you're cutting me open, are you?
Yeah.
The ash isn't hot, so you should be fine.
Yeah.
Nurse, come in, have a look at this.
Yeah. Give me a scalpel and an ashtray.
Yeah, it's a
tray that you put the bones in. It's fine. Only need one tray.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Good times. See, and that's why the kids were harder back then. When your dad would yell at you while smoking.
I got to ask, first of all, who was in the Super Bowl? I literally don't even know. And who won?
It was the Chiefs versus the Eagles, and the Chiefs won again.
Okay. Was this expected? Did people want this? Was this the general consensus, or what was the deal?
It was like a coin flip this year, honestly. Yeah. And I wanted the Eagles to win just because I think Mahomes is so good that I can never bet against him. So I was like, I'd like to see if he could actually not win a game. But I think the only thing that sucks, Scott, since you don't know, is it was a flawless game. And in the very last couple minutes, they had a very questionable pass interference call.
Yeah.
That,
cost the Eagles.
No kidding.
And they could, and the Chiefs would have scored either a field goal. They were in field goal range, or could have easily still gotten a touchdown. But it ended up being a first down situation now, and there were only 2 minutes. So they basically ran the clock down, while knowing that they would kick a field goal unless, like, to give you an idea, the Eagles actually had a play where they could have gotten a touchdown. And the guy stopped short, knowing they wanted the clock.
Oh, wow.
Because it was tied. So he literally just went down himself on the 1 yard line. So then they just play, they let the 30 some odd seconds or whatever each time run down. The clock just works its way down. You're like, it was already a great game. It would have been phenomenal to just see it play out. I think they still would have won. But there would have been a chance to go the other direction. It would have been a little more exciting. Even the announcers were like,
yeah.
It's questionable. And it wasn't a bad call. It's like, this from all the years of playing around, like there's certain times where you just, unless it's just asinine, you kind of let stuff go. It's like,
you know how it is. Like, when refs, like when you got like a game 7 in hockey and the refs are just backing off a little, they're like, just let this one. Let these guys.
You want the players to decide the game, not a call.
Guys get a little rough and yeah, you know what I mean? You don't want to like sissify the last period of game 7 if it's tied or something like that. And I saw that. I saw people talking about that. He did grab his jersey, like he had like a light little tug on his jersey.
Oh, there was a touch, yeah, for sure. But
it didn't seem to do. Is it that it didn't seem to do anything to him? Like he didn't break stride or anything? Is that the problem?
Well, between that and the ball wasn't catchable.
Yeah.
Like had he not done that, he wasn't getting to that ball. So it didn't matter. But I will tell you, if I was a Chiefs fan, that was absolutely pass interference. I'd have been screaming at the TV. So I ain't hating, but I would have been okay. I would have preferred it if they didn't call it and the Chiefs still won, because then it's like, there was no question of involvement there. But there was a big thing going into the game, Scott, that people were thinking that the NFL was rigged.
Oh, no kidding.
And I'm like, come on. I'm sorry. That's the most ridiculous thing. I understand that in sports, there's been betting where individual players have made maneuvers to pad their pocket, like by say winning below where they were supposed to win so they could make some money, shit like that. But like, you're watching a game and you're like, how would you do that? Was part of the plan for a guy to miss a 42-yard field goal by hitting the post? Yeah. Was that his plan to play because he's that good?
There's too many players. There's too many people involved. Like anything can happen. Like there's too many variables. There's you got 22 people on the field playing football every single play. Like how can you
it'd have to be quite the conspiracy. It's not like boxing, right?
Yeah. It's like,
what would be the advantage too, though? Like it's like you got guys that have dreamed of this moment their entire life. Like everyone, I think like that's the only thing I like about the Super Bowl is it's the one time all those players forget they're millionaires and just want to win. That's why college football is better.
That's why you like college.
Because they're literally playing to win. It's a different thing. So, but yeah, it was fun to watch the replays during I was working a lot last night. I used it as a great night to like work. I caught up on all of my stuff. Like this morning, I was able to relax a little just because I worked so late last night because I was awake. I was like, I'll get into tomorrow's work now. So thank you, Eagles and Chiefs, for doing that, because if Georgia was playing, I would have not worked.
Isn't college football on Saturdays?
Yeah. Well, now they have games during the week too. In the States, I was going to tell you this, Ron. I don't know if you saw, but they're apparently starting another league in April that sounds like it's going to be kind of like Canadian football.
Oh,
I don't know what it is, but it's just proof that Americans need football to survive. It's oxygen.
Right. You have to like start an off-season football league.
Yeah. They're like, we can't just stop. These people will die. They will die. I did hear an interesting thing. I don't know if you saw this, Ron, and maybe you will know this because it's you. Was football started in Canada?
Yeah, it was actually invented by a Canadian.
Yeah, so see, I saw that on a thing and I was like,
no pause. He just went right into it.
What was his name and what year was it? And what did his mom like to make?
Well, I don't know, but a Canadian, but a Canadian also invented basketball. That was also invented in Canada as well. Yeah.
So Americans, this is what we do. We steal other people's and then we make it our own.
Turn it into a business.
Yeah.
Melting
pot.
Since you guys did this, we're going to go take and make billions of dollars and then steal your best players to come here.
And do you remember the interesting fact I told you about Canada, about what our national sport actually is?
This is an interesting one, bro. Scott. Drop it. Drop it.
Yeah, I mean, what would you think? What do most people think?
Hockey, obviously.
Yeah, I would think hockey.
No,
yeah,
it's not. It's lacrosse.
Oh, that's lame. I mean, not that lacrosse is necessarily lame, but that's
we just
not.
Lost more.
You're gonna get a stick to the face for that one, Scott.
You're
getting a lacrosse stick to the face.
That's not right. That's not Canadian. That's not. I mean, I
it's
guess
very Canadian,
but not like hockey. I think of hockey. I think of pancakes with maple syrup. Right. I think of those things when I think of, those are like the first two things that come to mind.
Right.
So let me ask you this though, Ron. Obviously, Canadian hockey is the best hockey in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Is Canadian lacrosse the best lacrosse still? Are they the best players in the world?
I'm not sure. I know, like, American lacrosse.
Got him.
Yeah. Well,
he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
if you like, the best place to go to play lacrosse, I think, is still a lot of the American universities.
Huh,
right.
Like some of those schools have, like, the big budget lacrosse programs. Because I know some Canadian players that, like, they're like, oh yeah, I want to get into whatever Penn State and play on the lacrosse team or whatever. Like, it's like, that's where all the money is with nice big leagues, and you get noticed. But I know there's no money in, like, the pro level, so it's one of those things. But there's also box lacrosse and field lacrosse, and they're two different games. Like, field lacrosse is a huge field, lots of big long passes. You know what I mean? And then box lacrosse is played in, like, a hockey rink, and guys get checked into the boards and fucking. There's another one. So got freaking slammed, and it's like real tight, So there's a lot more contact, and it. Yeah, so they're two different games, and I know a lot of guys play one in college, and then they come back and play the other one in the off season in, like, a league. Like it's like that sort of stuff. But it's a rough game. All I know is that lacrosse ball that we use to roll on our lats and our traps. If you get hit with one of those,
arm. Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, I knew a guy that was a goalie, and he'd be covered in, like, big welts. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, that thing would be, I feel like, more brutal. Like, I mean, pucks are obviously frozen and very, very hard, but majority of your body is covered. So overall, you're doing okay. There's a few spots in your body you definitely don't want to get. But
did I ever tell you about my buddy that had the ruptured Achilles tendon from a slap shot through his skate?
Oh yeah, I could see that happening. That's
Good
one of the spots.
God.
Your whole skate is useless when it comes to pucks hitting it.
Yeah, he took a slap shot in the back of his heel, and it actually just punched his Achilles tendon right off the bone. Didn't go through the skate or anything, but just the pressure.
Yeah.
Just like when I said my buddy's toe got popped right off through his shoe, remember?
I was thinking about
that. But it was just one of those. Like, he got hit, and then all of a sudden he couldn't get up. And he's like, what's wrong with my foot? And he took his skate off. His Achilles tendon was completely detached.
Yeah, so there's situations with bulletproof vests where it may not penetrate, but the deformation at the back of it just presses so hard that you still, get all torn up and ruptured organs and all of that.
Yeah, pop your pec off or something like that.
Can we point out that he's a hockey player, because his Achilles tendon ruptured, and he's like, "What's wrong with my foot?" I was just watching, because I follow all these hockey IG channels, and there was one the other. I wish I could remember the athlete. Someone watching will know. But he comes to the bench. He goes, "Man, he just messed up with my teeth." And he's talking to the trainer. He goes, "Well, any of them are really, really loose?" The guy goes, he just hands one back to him. He's like, "Oh, thanks." Just pulls it out. Doesn't even look over his shoulder. Hands it back. The guy takes his tooth right back to business.
Yeah.
That's the Achilles. You broke your Achilles and didn't know.
I love those classic hockey moments where, like, one of the guys, like, goes to the dressing room, and then he's back like 10 minutes later with stitches all across his lip, and he's just, like, ready to go.
I had that under here. I wish, if I didn't have my beard, it's a permanent scar now. But I took a stick underneath, and back in the day, this will be unbelievable. If you had the right trainer, they'll stitch it for you. You just go back and they stitch it real quick. They don't even do like a good job. They'll deal with it later. They just put it through there. Later. And then you just go back in, and then after the game or whatever, when you get home, you'll have it stitched up by a doc.
What do you mean you got a stick on what? Like what happened? What is this? What do you mean?
A guy tried to like lift up a stick or something, and he missed. So his stick came up and hit me in the chin. And the problem is it's like they call it like a boxer's cut because it doesn't cut even. It explodes. So your cut isn't even. So then when you end up with the doc, what they'll do is actually recut it and then give you a straight stitch. So it looks cool. It's not a bit. Nothing is worse than getting a stitch without anything. That hurts like a mother.
Yeah.
You can feel the string pull through. You're like, okay, I'm not as tough as I thought I was. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, God.
But I mean, I was 7. I'm kidding. I'm
watching, I told you guys I've been watching Letterkenny, and there's some violence on the ice there.
Oh, yeah. Lots of chirping.
Yeah, and I'll see a guy, Shorzy is his name. People who watch the show, they'll know Shorzy.
Yeah.
He'll take a stick and he'll just crack someone right in the side of the leg with it when nobody's looking. Does that really happen in hockey?
Yeah. Well, especially like, the more old time you go, the more that you get.
Okay.
Yeah, the butt ending, that's where Scott, like the end of your stick that doesn't have the blade on it, that's up on your top hand.
Yeah.
You'll come next to somebody and just slide it out like a pool stick and fucking hit him in the side with it.
Just come right up under the pads, try to get right up under the pads into that bottom rib there.
It's a nice little shot for him.
How's it going?
I know there's people that are known as fighters. Like when I was a kid here in Detroit, Bob Probert on the wings was known as like a rough guy.
Yes.
And there was like so many stories about him, like local news stories that Bob Probert was involved in that probably didn't make it national. You know what I mean? At the time, just all sorts of different things. Like he was at a bar and this happened kind of stuff.
Lots of that back then in the 80s.
So I know that, you'd get a guy like that, but is everybody fighting, or do you just have like those certain guys that are fighters?
Back in like those days, every team had a character like that.
Yeah, an enforcer. That's his job.
Yeah, his job was like, if you go give Mario Lemieux the fucking and there's another one. Give him a little rough, dirty shot in the corner. The next shift, that guy's on the ice and he's hunting for you, and the ref's not looking.
Okay.
And he'll whisper something in your ear as he hits you too, like, don't touch Lemieux. He'll give you the elbow right across the top.
Untouchables. I wish it would go back to that. It was
don't touch Lemieux.
It was a better time. There's some great videos. Like I follow a few pages where they throw the old ones up, but it would be so great because it's like, and it would be like Ron and I, like two friends, and like you're just in the middle of the game, and Ron will just look over and go, "You want to go?" And it's like a face off, and I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Yeah. And as soon as the puck drops, you just step back and
drop the gloves.
Do what you do. They'll fight. And that's the best thing about the old days is you would fight. And then if it's a good fight and you just beat the piss out of each other, you get done and the refs come in, you go, hey, nice job, man. And you just skate off.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it fires your team up. If you win the fight, your team's fired up. So
do they still let guys do they let you fight like that nowadays, or is that all cut out, or how does that work?
It's happening more this year than it has. It's starting to, it's not like it used to be. But it's good to see. There's a couple players now that are back to making it part of their resume. So it's good to see.
That's so funny. You don't see that. Like, imagine you guys watch the Super Bowl. Imagine like the Super
guys
Bowl.
Take their helmets off.
Exactly. Yeah. Over at the 40. There.
And the hockey fights are sort of like there's something about being on skates that make them less dangerous. Like, you can still see guys get knocked out, but you got to remember, what happens when you shoot a cannon in a rowboat?
Yeah.
Half the power goes out the back. So you see guys on skates and you see their bodies like moving like this because every time they punch, there's like a loss of power.
Yeah.
So even though they're big, tough guys, like no one's ever gotten like their head smashed in and died, right? It's not like two guys fighting on the street. It's like, do you fall down? Someone's got a bloody lip. Refs pull you apart. There's been the odd guy knocked out.
The biggest danger is a guy that like hits his head on the ice after the fight.
That's like the only thing you got to worry about.
They've made a rule now that so guys started taking their helmets off, which is what we used to do when you were in the juniors because I was underage. So if you were under 18, you had to wear a mask, and the other guys didn't. So if you're going to get in a fight, you would step back and take your helmet off, and then you would fight. And now even in the pros, if you take your helmet off, there's an extra penalty for that.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Because they're being mindful of what if you fall back and hit your head. There's been some crazy stuff. This year, not from a fight, but this guy, Evander Kane, got his wrist stepped on.
Ooh.
Right across it. And literally, immediate hospital, like could have died. I mean, it was like a brutal freak incident I've never seen in my entire life.
With the blade.
Yeah, a guy's skate stepped right. I mean, just perfect placement, stepped right on it, sliced it right across the freaking veins. And he's back playing again. But, he came back the next day. I'm kidding. No, he had to get surgeries. It was actually a big thing, but it was scary because, like, he went down and he immediately, you see him grab his wrist and go straight to the bench. Like, he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like straight to the bench, straight to the hospital, please don't die situation.
Was a player back in the 80s named Clint Malarchuk. He was a goalie for the Buffalo Sabres, and he actually grew up right next to me, like just a few farms over. So I knew where the Malarchuks were from, and I knew that he made the NHL, and he was like a little bit like 6-7 years older than me. And he was the guy. There's famous footage of him on YouTube. If you look up Clint Malarchuk, there was just a crash into the net, and all of a sudden this big pool of blood just and he's holding his throat, and a skate blade just slashed his throat.
Holy crap!
And that was one of the things that triggered like a whole bunch of goalies to start wearing that plastic thing that kind of hangs down on the two ropes. Just two ropes with like a plastic shield, and it's just loose, but it just kind of like hangs around there and it moves with them. And so he had his throat slit. Yeah. And I mean, that was a close call. I mean, he was surrounded by medical staff immediately, but I mean, if that would have happened on a pond somewhere playing hockey with his friends, he would have been dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that was like a big deal because he was from my hometown. Everyone's like, oh, geez, he almost died. Like,
Yeah.
So yeah, get rough. A lot of people don't know too. A skate actually has two blades.
Yep. Edges.
People think it comes to like a blade, like a knife, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It actually comes straight down, and then it's concave on the bottom. It's carved out.
Oh, yeah.
So there's actually two blades really, really close together. So you can be on your inside edge or your outside edge, right? So there's always like an edge that's really digging. And when you're gliding straight, you're actually gliding on two edges, so they're super sharp. So when you get your skate sharpened, it actually goes down the middle and it like carves out the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. They're neat if you look at them up close.
Fun facts that I have no idea how we got here. This is really the show. I have no idea how we get here.
What's this show called? What's this show called?
It's just hockey. It's just violence.
It's just violence. We're 30 minutes in. I don't even think we.
This will make a good Saturday release. We'll use this as our Saturday release.
This is Saturday show.
This is why we don't say the number at the beginning anymore.
This is for the loser viewers we have that have nothing else to watch.
This is. I think our Saturday people
throwaway.
Our Saturday people, it's more of like, okay, the week's over. We're just hanging out. We're hanging with Ron, Dusty, and Scott, and we're just shooting the crap. You know what I mean? That's the Saturday show,
right? Okay.
So we're doing the Saturday show. No.
So then that just means that I'm expected to bring my A game when we record the very next episode.
Exactly.
I hate to tell you, but this is my A game.
This is the best.
This is the stuff I had prepared.
Oh man. Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's on the agenda? We're a few weeks out from the Arnold, boys.
Yes. Yeah.
What's going on? We're seeing some videos. We've seen video of Samson. We've seen some video of Rami. What is going on? What do you think is going to happen at the Arnolds?
Well, most importantly,
is it changing?
Most importantly, I think that anybody who's going to the Arnold, I made a note. I was like, mention the Arnold Classic because we're going to do the live podcast. I wanted to tell people that if they come, show aside, I want to hang out with everybody. So if you're coming to the Arnold, come out to the Mutant booth and maybe you'll catch us do a live show. We haven't discussed what day we're going to do that yet or how that's going to work out, but
all the days,
just a 3-day podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the days. I don't even have a say in this and I just say it.
Are you guys helping anybody for like the Arnold Amateur or anything like that? You guys have anybody doing that show?
I'm not, but I'm going to send this to you, Scott, because I think this is very worthy of going up here. So a friend of mine who used to do a lot of tissue work for me is doing, it will be his second show.
Okay.
Because his first show is coming up next weekend. And tell me that this is not a very solid.
Oh, nice.
Classic competitor. Tommy, my old training partner, is actually training him.
Tommy's working with him. Nice. Oh, he's in good shape too.
Yeah,
real good shape here.
Sliced out. And Ryan Simpson's his name. And I cannot wait to see him compete at the Arnold. He is bonkers. Look at the glutes from the back. I mean, just...
Yeah, he's looking tight. Yeah. Man, crazy up top through the lats, shoulders, and chest. Like, kind of freaky. And you know what I mean? That's interesting.
Yeah,
he's got a cool look.
I did not look like that for my first show. I want to point out that I did not look inside out for my first contest.
Yeah.
So very excited to see Ryan hit the stage at the Arnold, and I think he's going to shake things up, which is fun.
That's cool. I'm sending you a quick video. Obviously you don't have to play the whole thing, but I want to give a shout out to guy I'm helping, my buddy Alexander Majuto from Germany, but he lives in Canada now.
Nice.
And I've helped him for a few shows before, but he's going to go down and hop on stage. He's you got the video? Did you get it?
Not yet. It didn't come through yet. When it comes through, I'll throw it up.
Yeah, it was a little big, but just throw that up there when you. Oh yeah, it's still sending. Still sending.
Hey, I'll tell you about. One of my longer term clients, Hamza, is gonna jump in the Arnold Amateur, and here's the thing. So he decided to do this last minute. And he's got a whole bunch of stuff lined up this year, including Ramadan starts literally like right after the Arnold. And then after that, he's got a wedding to prepare. He's getting married. So it's like, if he's going to do anything, this is it. And he was like, hey, I think I can do this, man. And I was like, dude, I don't know, man. We've been working for a long time on this off season. Do we really want to, the video came through, so I'll throw that up in a sec. It's like, do we really want to do a rush prep for this? But he's coming together. Here's a picture. If I was prepared, I'd show you guys pictures from like 6 weeks ago. But like he's bringing it down fast. So
nice.
He's not going to be like his absolute most peeled, but
he's going to be good shape, man. His quads,
the legs look nasty.
He'll be respectable. He'll be respectable there, and I think he just wants to mainly have fun too. He's the guy. He loves the sport, and he wanted to compete this season. So we're like, yeah, we'll make it work. So
How long did you guys do for this show?
We started like maybe 6 weeks ago, something like that.
So he was really fat to begin with, is what you're telling me. He's super fat.
And honestly, man, he's lost a lot. Like I'll see if I can pull. I got the video here. I'll throw Ron's guy up here, but I'll see if I can find one of the pictures from like 6 weeks ago. Ooh,
yeah,
so he looks good, man.
So he's about 222 here. So he'll be at very top of the heavyweight. But, nice shape, real full muscle bellies.
Yeah.
He needs to work on the quad sweep.
Yeah. He trains real hard, trains real basic, not a ton of sets. He goes, really, really hard with very respectable weights.
Yeah.
So the glutes are in pretty good. He's got a couple pounds to lose, but I mean,
we got 2.5 weeks to do it.
Yeah, it's all there. He's pretty tight.
Back shots here. Here we go. Yeah.
So everything's pretty tight. It's coming.
He looks really solid.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing him up there.
How tall is he?
He'd be like 5'9", 10, I guess. 5'9".
Okay. Yeah, he looks good. Yeah. He looks good.
Yeah. So we're pretty happy. I think it's going to be his best look ever, and he trains real hard. Real complicated to get quads like that. Real complicated routine. He'll do
squats,
hacks, and Smith squats, and leg press and extensions. Like really revolutionary exercises.
Yeah,
they're probably doing like that craziness where you do like 12 reps. It's wild.
Yeah. So but he's got a nice real that just nice clean flow. Everything just there's nothing there's nothing that looks in the way. What's that? So I'm looking forward to seeing him on stage. So the only problem is he's on Thursday, right? So I'm trying to go a day early so I can get down there. I wasn't sure exactly what the schedule was going to be like, but we'll figure it out either way. Doesn't matter if I'm there or not. He'll be on.
So here's Hamza 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks-ish ago. He looked like that, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
So he's had a nice, easy 6 weeks just enjoying himself.
Oh, dude, he's been grinding. He's like, well, I'm able to still sleep. Here's a different shot of him currently. He's like, I'm able to still sleep okay. It's not that terrible. So he's coming together. But yeah, it's I would love to give him more time. You know what I mean? I'd love to see him take it for another month, but you know, life comes up. He's got Ramadan, and you know what? And here's the thing too: is I think everybody who participates in Ramadan has their own level of what they want to do. And for him, he's like, man, I don't want to cheat it. I like, if I'm going to fast, then I'm going to really fast. He's like, I'm not going to try to, because I've worked with guys who are like, I'll stay up all night and I'll eat all my meals, and you know what I mean, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
I've had a few of those where we do like 3 monster meals.
Yeah.
It's within their time that they're allowed, from what I understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm like, well, I need you to rest also. And like, okay, we could fit 3 in then.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect, because the amount of food that these guys, when they're disciplined, will put in 3 meals separated by like, 95 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
all right, kid.
I helped a guy who had Ramadan to work around as well, and he would have a massive meal after dark.
Yep.
Then we go to bed. Then he would get up in the middle of the night and he would drink a really high calorie shake.
Oh yeah.
It was like easily 1,000 calories in his shake. And then he'd go back to bed, and then he'd get up early before the sun came up, and he'd have like a good breakfast.
Yeah.
And then you got a long day ahead of you.
Yeah, no kidding. I worked with a guy who got switched to midnights, and he was like, I'll just keep doing my normal thing. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't a problem at all.
It's like, I'll sleep when I'm fasting. Isn't that what we all do?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I think it's good, though, that people see that, because it's shocking to me how often people find like the smallest hurdle and they're like, I guess I can't do this. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
What? It's like they broke a nail and now they can't do cardio today.
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting thing, because then you have guys on the other end of the spectrum like that. And I mean, giving up sleep to make sure that they can keep progressing. There's always a way, if you're dead ass serious about making it happen, and without, breaking what matters to them most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a good example. It's like, oh, you work a lot? Okay, try not eating at all for the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's a shocking thing.
Okay, so we never actually made any Arnold predictions.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I still have one.
Yeah.
I cannot bet against Nick Walker. I just can't. Like, I saw a video of him doing extensions yesterday, and I was like, oh, your legs got bigger.
Even better, huh?
Right.
And deeper, and you're better. Yeah, I think he's the one. And people, and what I love too is everyone wants him to win. They won't want him to not win for like 3 or 4 more wins, and then they'll hate him for no reason.
Yeah, right.
His legions won't turn on him until he wins an Olympia.
Yeah. Once he gets his second Olympia, they'll start to hate him.
But fucking guy always wins.
Yeah. But I think that he is the obvious choice, and he doesn't miss. He won't miss. So there's that. And I want Samson to be in second.
Yeah.
But I think he can.
As good as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. I would like him. I would love it if he cemented his place there. And seeing some of the old pictures of Ramy back in the day and seeing him now, he's a guy whose best days are behind him. I don't really care what anyone says. He can bring it and whatever, but he will not be as good as he used to be. And I think for me, what bodybuilding is about is progression. These guys are coming up. So I don't, like the guy, great dude, but I don't want to see his less than best days be enough to win. And I don't think they are.
Right.
I don't care where he places, but I want to see Akeem just come in shredded. You know what I mean?
It'd be nice.
That would be cool. That would be really cool to see. I'd like to see that.
I wonder what his best placing ever at an Arnold is.
I wonder.
We could stop wondering once Scott types.
It would be great to see him set a new standard for himself at this point after, this many shows, come in and really rock it and blast into the top 3 would be crazy, you know?
I'll have to do some research on that, but I'll dig into that. We'll revisit that in a moment after I can find some stuff. I will.
I don't think Akeem's done that many Arnolds.
I don't know. I guess I felt like for a while he was doing all the shows. That's what I loved about Akeem.
Right.
He was like always competing.
Right.
I don't think the fans realize how freakish he is.
No, you guys see him.
Yeah.
When you see him in front of you, and it's just meat hanging off of a bird structure. Like his bones and his waist and everything are so small, and there's just slabs of beef like at the frickin' grocery store just hanging off of him everywhere.
He has an extremely cartoonish, relaxed look.
Oh, yeah, like standing, like as in literally relaxed standing there. I remember I competed with him a couple of times, and I always used to laugh because like I got either 3rd or 5th one year when he and Michael Lockett were 1 and 2, and I was like, the token blocky white guy, that's me, lovely. Just happy to have made it in the mix with these freaks, you know?
Yeah.
How can a guy like Justin Rodriguez do in a show like this? You know, considering that if he brings it, I mean, he's proven to be a dangerous competitor at times. Where's the best? Let me ask you this, guys. Where's the best he can place in a show like this if he was like completely on?
Well, he was top 5 last year, wasn't he? Was he 5th or 4th?
Something like that. I mean,
because he was on stage. I remember that.
Yeah, like, I remember when I
mix.
Justin to me needs to stop competing. Like he's like a bikini girl. He does every single show, and he hasn't had a big jump in improvement. It's like he's always been that guy. I feel like if someone would grab him and say, don't compete for 8 months, he would suddenly be someone that's on everyone's radar because he could walk out drastically better. As is, the best he could possibly do is squeak into the top 5, in my opinion. And I don't see that happening based on the fact that he's always competing, and he also has a new coach every other day. So, and that's not I hate on it. I think the guy's phenomenal. But here's my thing, Justin, if you ever hear this, the only reason that Derek Lunsford took 2nd at the Olympia is he listened to me after the Olympia last year. It was no one else. It's not that he had a brain or everyone else already knew this. He just listened to Dusty on It's Just Bodybuilding.
Yeah.
He blew up, and he is now the 2nd best bodybuilder on the planet. So if you do the same, you could do the same. You're welcome.
So I have to. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Okay, I was going to say this. I'm looking at Akeem's placings. Now, first of all, I do want to mention he's been around for a long time, considering that he won
pro in 2013.
Yeah, super heavyweights at North Americans he took first, and then he took the overall as well. And then after that, though, like looking at where he's done really well, if we go to 2019, Arnold Classic, he got 9th, but then Indy Pro 2nd. And then after that, he got 3rd at the Arnold South America. Then Big Man Pro out in Europe, he got 2nd. And then New York Pro, he got 2nd. Then he dropped down to 9th in the Olympia. Then from there, his best Arnold Classic in the U.S. was a top 5. He got 5th place there.
Okay.
When was that? Was that last year or the year before?
That was 21.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so very recent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to admit that I'm increasingly excited to see Andrew jacked.
Yeah.
Because of the coaching changes. And I just feel like, I don't know a lot about Chris Psycho Lewis. I just know he trained Roden the year he won, and I know he does a lot of volume, and he just hammers guys, and they're busy. They're busy in the gym. He's, I know he likes to do some unique looking exercises that involve a lot of extra pads and altered machines, and he does a little bit of the Charles Glass thing, but I know he trains people very intensely. And then with Aceto, obviously, I think when you have Aceto as a coach, you're removing a whole bunch of horse shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be discussed or put into your head, or, you know what I mean? Like just all the nonsense that you can just imagine gets pumped into a guy like that from a lot of other people. And when you work with Aceto, you don't get any of that stuff pumped into your head. So I'm really excited to see what happens. We get to see this combination again, someone pushing him really hard in the gym and not holding back at all. And then Aceto looking at the pictures. Yeah. And I think that who knows? Like, I'm just excited to see what happens, because it's not like Andrew Jacked is like been competing for 15 years and there's not much you can do with him. Like, he might be, I mean, how old is he? He's like 37.
No, I think he's older. I think he's in his 40s.
Is he 40 something?
Yeah, but I think he's just young on stage, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but his bodybuilding age is like
5.
So
no, I talked to Chris yesterday, and I can't be specific because I don't know what should be, but they are working him very, very hard. So I expect to see him come in ridiculously. I mean, you know how Chris is.
Yeah,
we'll worry about how you feel after you win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting. Like we chatted for a bit yesterday, and you know how Chris is. You can just tell they're grinding him, and it sounds like he's more than up for the challenge. So it'll be exciting to see. He will definitely bring something much better than we've seen before.
38, by the way. It's 38.
38.
There we go.
I asked Chris, I said, what do you think the most important thing, like what are you focusing on with Andrew? And he goes, I just keep telling him he has no idea how good he should be. And I'm like, he's not even really worried about the food. You have no idea how good you should be. No idea. And so I thought about that, and I'm like, that's just totally Chris. Like, just keep pumping his brain full of that. Like I'm not impressed yet. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, just that sort of thing. And I mean, I don't know what his other coaches were telling him, but I get the impression his other coaches were telling him, "Oh my God, you're amazing." Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that's not Chris. He'll tell you you're pretty if you're pretty. This is a great look. This is a great look, Brando.
Yeah.
If you're pretty, he'll tell you, but at the same time, it's not going to come in. He's not going to flood you with compliments. It's, he'll let you know, but then it's back to like, you could be better than this, a lot better than this.
And I think that's helpful. I'm not a fan of that. Like, just constantly, there are people out there, they want you, and I guess everybody's different, right? Like and maybe that's why different athletes will fit better with different coaches, but I'm not a fan of that. Like, oh man, come on, champ. You know what I mean? You're the best. Mm-hmm. All that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite things about Chris is, and I think it's one of the, I don't know, just because of my personality, I appreciated it. Right. But just every once in a while when you'd run into an issue or, a day where, something came up. You're looking at your pictures or not. What's going on with the weight? Like that sort of thing. Chris had this way of just like dropping a Jay story. Just drop a story like, I remember when Jay was getting ready for the 03 Night of Champions and blah, 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 blah. And then, blah, blah, blah. And I said this and he did this. And then, a couple days later, we were past this issue.
Yeah.
And just him telling you these stories and just kind of centering you that, oh, this is stuff that everyone deals with. This is like stuff that he's seen a million times. There's no panic or anything. So I don't know, that gelled well with me. And, maybe Andrew's responding to his style really well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
With a guy like Andrew, with the genetics like that, the last thing he needs is a coach that's going to be telling him, oh, you got to switch to like organic potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what 27 times, trust me.
Yeah. Like imagine what a colossal waste of his time that is to get that type of coach. He needs someone who's going to get in here and like drive that, So I don't know. That's my opinion.
I don't think people realize how relaxed he would get sometimes. Like my last couple preps, Chris would say 30 minutes of cardio. Like, what do you tell me what to do? And so I would do what I was doing, and then he would up the cardio. But it wasn't like step mill. Like I tell clients, honestly, I'll tell them like step mill, 72 steps per minute. You know what I mean? Like I want to make sure I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
He was like, do 30 minutes of cardio 7 days a week. All right, let's bump that to 40. All right, let's take it out today. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know if he would necessarily know ever what I did. He would just know it was working.
Yeah.
You know? Same thing with gear. You know, there'd be times, and I know Ron's experienced this. You'd be going along, and you're like, "So, do you want to put anything else in?" And you're like 4 weeks out. He's like, well, "What are you taking?" I'm like, "Test and Master on." He's like, "Nah, we're good." I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
You know, because you're just kind of like closing in. You're like, "I'm taking two things," and he's like, "You look
You
good."
go, maybe that's why you look so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're healthy. Right?
Yeah. And other times you would be taking
struggling.
5 things. There was no, you know, there was definitely, he did tell me at one point, and I actually adopted this for my competitive clients. Because he would keep a file on us, like old school, like paper. He'll send you pictures sometimes. And he goes, yeah, after you compete, I throw that away.
Yeah, I've heard that before,
He's
which
like,
makes sense.
He's like, I don't want to ever be tempted to go back and look at what worked before because it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I keep
cool.
those files too, not on paper, but on the computer, but I never reference them. Like I want to have them, and I do like to look at the pictures sometimes because I'm like, I wonder what he looked like, you know, a month out from the last time he competed. Then I'll go back and look and compare, but I never really look at. I have all these diets from years and years, and it's like I never use them for anything, you know.
I remember Chris told me he had somebody compete and they won a show. And I don't remember what show it was or who it was. It might have been an amateur show. I don't know. But I go, I said, oh, so what now? And he sent me a video of him taking like a duotang, like and just dropping it in a garbage can.
Oh, what?
Like, you know, we had like all the guys' notes in like a little binder, like a little file.
Yeah.
And I go, what's next? He goes, plunk, drop in the garbage. Next show.
That's next.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. But I imagine it's to the point where, I mean, how many diets can you keep?
Yeah.
You'd have to have like a whole garage.
You need a
full of-
room. Yeah.
Yeah. You need just, you know, you'd need like, you know, like one of those government file rooms. It's like the size of an aircraft hangar. With like, you know,
somebody actually works in there to go get the file for you. Can I get
with like one of those
Jose
rolling
Raymond
ladders?
208.
You know, 1997 USAs. I need this guy's file.
It's the evidence room, actually.
Yeah, the evidence room. Like that last scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark when they're putting the Ark away.
Yeah.
Giant room. Okay. No one remembers that scene but me and Scott, apparently.
I remember that scene. Yep. It was a classic.
Know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
We watched a movie. It wasn't. What was that movie you guys wanted me to watch? I don't even remember the name of it.
This is getting worse.
It wasn't The Green Mile or I can't even remember the name of that other movie.
Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, that Shawshank Redemption movie or whatever it's called.
Unbelievable. Your wife just left you.
But we did.
So what did you watch?
We watched War Dogs.
Oh, yeah. War Dogs is a pretty good movie. Doesn't that have Jonah Hill in it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, the whole time I watched that, and this is the second time I've seen it. Both times I've said to myself, they should make a movie about PJ and Aaron. Both times. When I see that movie, I think of them. And I think to myself, they would be great for a movie. That would be so good. I would love to see that.
Who's the other guy? It's Jonah Hill.
I don't know actors, but I could look it up.
And
movies.
And refresh my memory, they just wind up like kind of falling ass backwards into becoming arms dealers, right?
Yeah, Miles Teller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But they just like accidentally become arms dealers, don't they?
Well, Jonah Hill is an arms dealer. Like he's kind of like found a way in with his uncle or something like that, but then he keeps doing it, and then he gets his high school buddy Miles involved. And interestingly, I don't want to throw any names out there, but one of our listeners and Patreon supporter actually works for the Department of Justice, because they had a big deal and they tried to pull a scam on the U.S. government.
Right.
And what her job is,
right?
Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah.
Her job is to find out to figure those scams out, to make sure that the Department of Justice isn't getting the scammed, which that's kind of interesting. That's like literally her job.
I like how you broke this down. You weren't going to tell us. Then you said she was a Patreon. Then you said she was a girl. Then you said her initials were SM. And then you just said her name.
I said none of those last things. That leaves a lot of people. And there's no way anybody can know who the Patreon people are.
Female listeners.
Yeah, there's only 7. There's only 7 female listeners.
It's not Nikki. Okay. It's not my mother. Yeah. Okay, now we know who it is.
It's not my mom.
Right. Totally understood. Understood.
But I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah.
I dipped into The Last of Us. I watched the first couple episodes just to get a feel for it. You guys watch that show?
No. Never heard of it.
The Last of Us?
Yeah.
No.
It's like based on a video game, but it's like an apocalyptic, the world has been ravaged by a killer fungus and almost everybody's fucking there's another F-bomb for you.
Sorry. I appreciate that you're aware. That's important. That's the important thing.
We're getting there.
Awareness it starts with awareness, Scott. Yeah. Change begins with awareness at home. Okay. But yeah, Last of Us, the first 2 episodes have been pretty crazy. It's really interesting. I was hesitant because I thought, another zombie show. Mm-hmm. But they're not zombies. I mean, essentially, yeah, same thing. They're infected. But it's a really neat premise. Like, it's a fungus. It's not a virus. And it's all based off a real fungus that I've read about before. There's a fungus that gets into ants, and it gets into their brain. Oh. And it takes control of them.
Yeah.
And it makes it their mission to spread the fungus. So they go and they try to spread the fungus to all the other ants. And then there's some of them, they climb up high. The fungus takes control of their brain and it makes them climb up really high above an anthill. And then their head explodes. And the fungus rains down all over the anthill and infects as many ants as possible. And so the premise is, what happens if that fungus evolves into humans? Something triggers it to have to evolve to survive, and the evolution that happens makes it so that they can just happen to live in humans. So now we've got this fungus invading humans and taking control of them and making them try to infect others, and they're very violent, and it's interesting. And then one of my favorite little things about it is, the whole thing with zombies that bothers me is they'd all be rotting. Like, if they're dead, they would be rotten. They would last like a few months, and then all the zombies would just be useless, and they wouldn't be able to move because they just rot. So they wouldn't all last a winter. Like, this is dumb. Like, so that's why I always had a problem with zombies. But the catch with the fungus, the angle with the fungus, is that the fungus produces penicillin. So it keeps the body from getting infected. So it lasts a lot longer. They do break down, and obviously if you like blow their kneecap out there and they can't walk, but they're not like slow, like they're running full speed at you. Like they're like they're like wild animals. Yeah. And they're just have no, like, their brain is taken over by the fungus. So it's pretty interesting. Obviously I'm only 2 episodes in, so it still could go down the toilet pretty quick. So we'll see what happens.
You know that there are there are funguses that do attack ants like that. I mean, they don't do all that. Yeah, that's a real one. Yeah. Yeah, that's a real one. Yeah. Like the zombie
they base it off
ants.
That. Yeah, they base it off that fungus.
Which is crazy to think that there's cordyceps that can do that,
Yeah, the thing with the ant climbing up and then his head exploding and raining down over the anthill, that like is a real thing. Like, that's just crazy that somebody could evolve to do that. Yeah. Like, makes you wonder. Holy smokes. Yeah. Some of this stuff. Yeah. Hey, got to be careful now about ant fungus.
How many seasons is the fungus show?
Well, it's just one. It just started. So they're coming out weekly. Like, it's not even all out yet. You know what I mean?
Oh, so I can't do that. I need to wait until it's done, and then I gotta come in. I need to know what Then I get caught at the end. I watch Mayor of Kingstown. You know what that is?
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's great.
It ruins my life because then this episode ends and I'm ready for another one. And there isn't another one.
And they're there. Oh, there isn't another one yet, I guess.
And I'm ready, and I'm waiting until next week. It's terrible. It's not a way to live.
Yeah.
I want to test your thought on this, Ron, because you probably actually know the answer. But I was talking to my friend Rob about how shows like Crank, right, like Suits and all these shows, and then all of a sudden they start to dwindle. And he told me that oftentimes what it is the writer wrote 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Where he had a plan for 4 seasons, and then it starts making a ton of money. And the executive's like, bro, write another season. He's like, there isn't another season. They're like, write another season. And that's why shows tank after a certain amount of time, because there are not many writers out there like I can't remember his name, the guy who wrote Sons of Anarchy. They're like, nope, 6. What are we doing? I knew it from the beginning. That's all we're doing. It's the end. And it really made my mind think. I'm like, that's what happens. Because how many shows you watch are like, yes, what the?
It just departs from like what it was. And you're like, am I still watching the same show after? And you don't realize it right away. You know what I mean? You get like halfway through that season, you're like, man, this is getting bad.
Yeah, that happened to a few shows.
That thing? That's so weird to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you think of a show like Suits, for example, I mean, the whole premise is that Mike doesn't actually have a law degree.
Right.
So you're on a very limited timeline until that gets discovered.
Yes.
Right? So they managed to they chewed out 3 seasons before everyone found out about that?
Yeah, and then they found a way, I can't say because people
they had to
they found a way to create a fake one for him. That looked to be real, like, you know, so in a computer system it was real. But yeah, I mean, that show tanked. The last season I regretted watching.
Yeah,
because I loved it so much.
You know? Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. You could tell the writer has a great idea, but the premise wouldn't get by everyone for too many years.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
like a secret agent, you know?
That's how I feel about oh Jesus, what the heck's it called? The Yellowstone. I'm like, the feds would be in by now. There's too many bodies. Like, I'm sorry, but the whole this is just Montana doesn't really work anymore. There's too many dead people. Like,
and certain characters like Beth in Yellowstone.
Oh yeah.
Like, let's make the most horrible, resentful person we can create. And you're like, wow, what an interesting character. But after 3 seasons, no one would want to be around her.
Yeah, no one.
Like, she would just be like alienated from society because every single person would be like, you're so toxic, you can't even be in the same room as me. No one would be around her. Like, she would be defamilied. Like, there's no way they're still having her at dinner table to do all that crazy nonsense. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Agree. Like, you know how you hate a character for a while, and then they somehow tone him down enough, or they alter him so that you can keep him around. Like, they just kept the gas on her, and then they try to put her with the character that everyone loves, and you're like, he would not do that. He'd be like, bitch, you know how many women I can have? I don't need you. Like, he'd probably kill her himself at that point.
I know. I do have a couple of bodybuilding questions.
Should we save them for the next episode? Should we save them for the next episode? Because I've got a bodybuilding topic for that might be good for the Wednesday episode. You know,
nice.
Something like
so
that.
we can call this
great.
So we did the Saturday show first.
We did. This is why, guys. Anybody who said I like when you say the number at the beginning, this is why we don't do that.
This couldn't be episode 200. That'd be garbage.
Yeah, right?
This has to be 201.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
This is 201.
This is 201. Yeah.
So you're seeing into the future, or are they seeing into the past? In a
Both.
weird way,
all at once.
All at once. Man, if you're like tripping a little bit and watching this episode and you realize that concept,
definitely take 3 grams of mushrooms before watching this episode.
Okay. So Scott will
if
have
I
to
cut
put
that out and I put that at the very beginning, I wonder if that will demonetize us.
Yes, it will. Yes, you should probably cut that part out in general. Actually, now that I said it,
suggested drug use.
Yeah.
Dusty and his suggested drug use. Okay, everybody, remember It's just bodybuilding sometimes.
Not today.
But other times it's very little bodybuilding. Although we did discuss the Arnold and showed a few clips of some guys. We had a little moment. Nice. I want to thank Mutant, obviously, for supporting the show. Remember, IamMutant.com. Go on there, Big Ron 20 or Dusty 20, and get your stuff. And I want to thank everyone who's using the codes, because I've been getting way more notification emails about the codes lately. Way more. Like every single day I get a notification, a couple notifications. So it's I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
And comment with questions for the next episode. We're going to need all your questions.
Yeah, comment with questions. That really helps us out. Plus, we prefer to give the YouTube questions their priority. So if they're there, we will get to them. And the only reason we won't answer one is if it's like worded so poorly we don't understand it. And then we'll just make something up and answer that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we actually don't answer the questions, or we just read them.
Yeah.
Right.
We go on tangents. But anyways.
You will get recognition.
You will at least see your question on the screen that is not answered, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.